my dear sister. Imagine carrying a wound so deep that every time you show it to people, it hurts even more. You tell one person, then another, hoping someone will heal the pain. But instead, some judge you, some misunderstand you, and some quietly use your weakness against you. What if the reason your heart feels exhausted is not because your problems are too heavy, but because you have been carrying them to the wrong people? Tonight, I want to share 5 powerful lessons that could protect your peace, guard your dignity, and bring you closer to Allah than ever before. Because not everyone deserves to know your pain, but Allah always does. 1. Not everyone deserves access to your pain, my dear sister. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning that not everyone deserves access to your pain. When your heart is hurting, your natural instinct is often to find someone who will listen. You want someone to understand what you are going through. You want someone to tell you that everything will be okay. You want someone to carry a small piece of the burden that feels so heavy on your shoulders. But this is where many people make a painful mistake. They assume that everyone who listens cares. They assume that everyone who asks questions is concerned. They assume that everyone who offers comfort has good intentions. Unfortunately, that is not always true. The reality is that some people are interested in your pain for reasons that have nothing to do with helping you. Some are simply curious. Some enjoy hearing about the struggles of others because it makes them feel better about their own lives. Some listen only so they can discuss your situation with someone else later. And some people collect information about your weaknesses without you even realizing it. This is why wisdom is so important. A wise woman understands that her pain is valuable. Her struggles are personal. Her tears are sacred. She does not hand them to everyone who is willing to listen. Imagine carrying a precious treasure. You would not place it into the hands of every stranger you meet. You would protect it. You would be careful about who you trust. In the same way, your emotions deserve protection. Many people regret speaking too much when they are emotional. In a moment of sadness, they reveal everything. In a moment of frustration, they tell their entire story. In a moment of loneliness, they open their heart to the wrong person. Later, when the emotions settle, they wish they had remained silent. Not because seeking help is wrong. Islam encourages us to seek advice from trustworthy people. Islam encourages us to support one another. But there is a difference between seeking guidance and exposing your heart to everyone around you. The believer chooses carefully. The believer knows that not every ear deserves every story. My dear sister, one of the greatest forms of strength is learning to take your pain first to Allah. Before you tell 10 people about your problem, tell Allah. Before you explain your suffering to the world, explain it to your Lord. Because Allah will never mock your pain. Allah will never become tired of listening. Allah will never use your weakness against you. Allah will never betray your trust. People may misunderstand you. People may judge you. People may disappoint you. But Allah understands every tear that falls from your eyes, even the tears you never show anyone. So the next time your heart feels heavy, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, does this person truly deserve access to my pain? If the answer is uncertain, protect your heart. Not everyone deserves access to your struggles. Not everyone deserves access to your wounds. And not everyone deserves access to the most vulnerable parts of your life. Guard your heart with wisdom. Guard your pain with dignity. And place your trust in the one who knows your struggles better than you know them yourself. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. 2. The danger of telling the wrong people your problems, my dear sister. Not every person who smiles at you is your friend. Not every person who asks how you are doing genuinely cares about the answer. And not every person who listens to your problems deserves to hear them. One of the most painful lessons many people learn in life is that the wrong person can turn your vulnerability into your greatest regret. When you are going through a difficult time, your heart naturally wants relief. You want someone to understand. You want someone to comfort you. You want someone to tell you that everything will be okay. There is nothing wrong with wanting support. The problem begins when you start sharing your struggles with people who have not earned your trust. Many people reveal their deepest wounds too quickly. They tell others about their marriage problems. They tell others about family conflicts. They tell others about financial difficulties. They tell others about personal insecurities. And for a moment, it feels good. It feels like a burden has been lifted, but later, they discover that the wrong ears were listening. The person they trusted begins speaking about them behind their back. Private conversations become public discussions. Sensitive information spreads from one person to another, and suddenly, the pain that was once private becomes a source of embarrassment and regret. My dear sister, the tongue of another person is something you cannot control. The moment your secret leaves your mouth, it is no longer completely yours. This is why wise people are careful with their words. They understand that trust should be earned, not given away freely. One of the tricks of Shaitan is convincing you that everyone deserves access to your personal life. But Islam teaches wisdom. Islam teaches caution. Islam teaches us to choose our companions carefully. Not everyone wants the best for you. Some people secretly celebrate your failures. Some people become uncomfortable when Allah blesses you. Some people appear supportive while quietly hoping you remain stuck. This is why you must be selective. You do not need to tell everyone what you are facing. You do not need everyone's advice. You do not need everyone's opinion. Sometimes the more people you involve, the more confusion enters your life. You start hearing different suggestions from different people. One tells you to be patient. Another tells you to give up. One encourages you. Another fills your heart with fear. And before long, your mind becomes exhausted. The problem that was already heavy becomes even heavier. My dear sister, there is also another danger. The wrong people may begin to define you by your struggles. Instead of seeing your strength, they only remember your weakness. Instead of seeing your growth, they only remember your mistakes. Instead of seeing who you are becoming, they remain focused on the difficult chapter you shared with them years ago. This is why protecting your privacy is not secrecy. It is wisdom. It is emotional intelligence. It is self-respect. The strongest women are not those who tell everyone their story. The strongest women are those who know exactly who deserves to hear it. They choose their circle carefully. They seek advice from trustworthy people. They seek support from sincere believers. And above all, they take their worries to Allah before they take them to anyone else. Because Allah never exposes you. Allah never betrays your confidence. Allah never uses your pain against you. While people may disappoint you, Allah never will. So before sharing your struggles, pause and ask yourself, has this person truly earned my trust? Because one conversation with the wrong person can create years of regret. But one sincere conversation with Allah can create a lifetime of peace. That is why wise women protect their hearts, guard their words, and trust carefully, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. 3. Why Allah should hear your complaints before people do. My dear sister, when something hurts you, who do you run to first? When your heart feels heavy, who hears your complaints before anyone else? For many people, the first reaction is to pick up the phone. They message a friend. They call a relative. They tell someone what happened. They search for comfort from people. But imagine how different your life would become if your first response was to turn toward Allah instead. Imagine if before speaking to people, you spoke to your Lord. Imagine if before explaining your pain to the world, you poured your heart out to the one who created your heart. This simple change can transform the way you experience hardship. One of the most beautiful things about our relationship with Allah is that He never becomes tired of listening. Human beings have limits. Even the people who love you can become exhausted. Even good friends can become distracted. Even family members can misunderstand what you are trying to say. But Allah never grows tired of hearing your voice. You can come to Him every day. You can come to Him every night. You can bring Him the same worry 1,000 times. You can cry over the same pain repeatedly, and His mercy never decreases. His compassion never runs out. His door never closes. My dear sister, many people complain to everyone except Allah. They spend hours discussing their problems with people. They repeat the story again and again. They analyze every detail. They replay every painful moment. Yet despite all those conversations, their heart still feels empty. Why? Because the human heart was never designed to find complete peace through people. People can support you. People can advise you. People can encourage you. But only Allah can truly heal what is broken inside you. The comfort that comes from Allah is different. It reaches places inside your soul that no human being can reach. There are wounds that nobody understands. There are tears that nobody sees. There are fears that you cannot even explain properly. But Allah knows them all. Before you speak, He knows. Before you cry, He knows. Before your heart breaks, He knows. And before relief arrives, He knows exactly when it is coming. Subhanallah, how often do we forget this? How often do we seek comfort from creation while neglecting the Creator? My dear sister, think about the story of Prophet Yaqub a.s. He lost his beloved son. His heart was overwhelmed with grief. The pain was so deep that it affected him physically. Yet what did he say? He said that he complained of his suffering and grief to Allah, not to the world, not to every person around him, to Allah. This does not mean we should never seek help from people. Islam encourages seeking advice and support from trustworthy believers. But there is a difference between seeking guidance and constantly complaining to people while forgetting Allah. One strengthens the heart, the other can sometimes weaken it. Because when people become your primary source of comfort, disappointment becomes inevitable. People may ignore you, people may judge you, people may not understand your situation, people may even betray your trust. But Allah never will. Allah listens with perfect knowledge. Allah responds with perfect wisdom. Allah gives with perfect timing. And Allah loves when His servants turn to Him. My dear sister, sometimes Allah allows difficulties in your life because He wants to bring you closer to Him. He wants you to raise your hands in dua. He wants you to return to Him with sincerity. He wants you to experience the sweetness of relying upon Him. If every problem disappeared immediately, many people would forget Allah during times of ease. But hardship has a way of bringing hearts back to their Creator. And sometimes the very trial you are complaining about is the reason Allah is drawing you nearer to Him. What a beautiful mercy that is. The thing you see as a burden may actually be a bridge between your heart and Allah, a bridge between your weakness and His strength, a bridge between your tears and His mercy. My dear sister, the next time your heart feels overwhelmed, do something different. Before calling someone, before posting about your struggles, before telling the world what happened, find a quiet place, raise your hands, speak to Allah, tell Him everything, tell Him what hurts, tell Him what scares you, tell Him what keeps you awake at night, tell Him what nobody else understands. Because Allah is not only listening, Allah is already preparing the answer. And sometimes the greatest relief comes not when the problem disappears, but when your heart learns that Allah is enough. When Allah becomes your first refuge instead of your last option, everything changes. Your patience becomes stronger, your faith becomes deeper, your heart becomes calmer, and your relationship with Allah becomes more beautiful than it has ever been before. 4. The powerful peace that comes from silence. My dear sister, we live in a world that constantly encourages people to speak. Speak about your feelings, speak about your problems, speak about your frustrations. Speak about what happened. Speak about what someone did to you. Speak about every disappointment. Speak about every hardship. And while there are times when speaking is necessary, there is a wisdom that many people have forgotten. Sometimes silence protects your peace better than words ever can. One of the greatest gifts Allah can give a believer is the ability to remain silent when speaking would bring no benefit. Not every thought needs to be expressed. Not every emotion needs to be announced. Not every wound needs an audience, and not every struggle needs an explanation. Many people think silence is weakness. They believe that if they do not defend themselves, explain themselves, or constantly tell their side of the story, they will somehow lose. But true strength is often found in knowing when not to speak. The strongest people are not always the loudest. The wisest people are not always the most talkative. And the most peaceful hearts are often the ones that have learned the power of silence. My dear sister, think about how many problems begin with words. A person says something they should not have said. Someone shares information that should have remained private. Someone speaks while angry. Someone reveals too much about their personal life. Someone complains to the wrong person. And suddenly, a small problem becomes a large one. Many of the regrets people carry today came from words they wish they could take back. Very few people lose sleep because they remained silent. But countless people lose sleep because they spoke too much. This is why silence is often a protection from future regret. Every unnecessary word carries a risk. Every unnecessary explanation carries a risk. Every unnecessary complaint carries a risk. Silence removes many of those risks completely. My dear sisters, One of the most exhausting habits is constantly trying to make everyone understand you, trying to explain your intentions, trying to explain your choices, trying to explain your decisions, trying to explain your pain, trying to explain your heart. But here is a difficult truth. Not everyone wants to understand you. Some people have already made up their minds. Some people will judge you no matter what you say. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how clearly you explain yourself. And some people are committed to seeing you in the worst possible light. So why exhaust yourself trying to convince people who have no desire to understand? There comes a point where peace is found not in explaining yourself better. Peace is found in letting Allah handle what people think. The moment you stop chasing everyone's approval, your heart becomes lighter. The moment you stop needing everyone to understand your story, your mind becomes calmer. The moment you stop defending yourself to every critic, your soul begins to breathe again. My dear sister, silence also strengthens your relationship with Allah. Because when you stop pouring all your emotions into people, you begin pouring them into dua. When you stop running to everyone with your complaints, you begin running to Allah. When you stop seeking validation from the creation, you begin seeking comfort from the Creator. And that changes everything. Many people know how to talk to others about their problems. Very few know how to talk to Allah about them. Yet Allah is the one who can actually change the situation. Allah is the one who controls every heart. Allah is the one who opens closed doors. Allah is the one who removes burdens. Allah is the one who turns pain into healing. Why then should people become our first refuge while Allah becomes our last? My dear sister, there is a special peace that enters the heart when you learn to keep certain struggles between yourself and Allah. Nobody knows the tears you cried during tahajjud. Nobody knows the dua you whispered after prayer. Nobody knows the battles you fought in private. But Allah knows, and that knowledge alone is enough. You do not need everyone to know what you are carrying. You do not need everyone to know what you survived. You do not need everyone to know what you are praying for. Sometimes the most beautiful blessings grow in silence. A seed grows in silence beneath the soil before anyone sees it. Likewise, Allah often develops strength, patience, wisdom, and faith inside a believer long before anyone notices. Silence allows that growth to happen. My dear sister, there is another hidden power in silence. Silence protects your dignity. The more people know about your private struggles, the more opportunities they have to form opinions about your life. The more information you give away, the more control you give away. But when you learn to be selective with your words, you protect your dignity. You protect your emotional well-being. You protect your peace. This does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean isolating yourself. It does not mean refusing help when you genuinely need it. It simply means learning wisdom. Learning that not every person deserves access to every chapter of your life. Learning that some conversations belong only between you and Allah. Learning that silence can sometimes solve problems that words only make worse. My dear sister, one of the signs of emotional maturity is no longer feeling the need to explain everything. You stop explaining your growth. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop explaining your decisions. You stop explaining your healing. Instead, you focus on pleasing Allah, because when Allah is pleased with you, the opinions of people become much smaller. And when your heart becomes attached to Allah, you no longer feel the same desperate need to be understood by everyone. That is freedom. That is peace. That is strength. The world teaches you to tell everyone everything. But wisdom teaches you that some things are too valuable to share carelessly. Some struggles are meant to strengthen your relationship with Allah. Some tears are meant to remain between you and your Lord. Some battles are meant to be fought quietly. And some victories are meant to be celebrated only with gratitude to Allah. My dear sister, never underestimate the power of silence, because silence is not emptiness. Silence is trust. Silence is wisdom. Silence is dignity. Silence is patience. And sometimes silence is the very place where Allah gives the heart the peace it has been searching for all along. 5. When you trust Allah with your pain, everything changes, my dear sister. There comes a moment in every believer's life when they realize that people cannot carry what only Allah can heal. For years, some people search for comfort in the wrong places. They search for it in attention. They search for it in relationships. They search for it in the approval of others. They search for it in endless conversations about their problems. They search for it in people who promise to understand them. Yet despite all of this, their hearts remain restless. Why? Because the human heart was created with a need that only Allah can fulfill. No matter how much support people give you, there are certain wounds that only Allah can heal. No matter how much advice people offer, there are certain burdens that only Allah can remove. No matter how much love people show you, there is a level of peace that can only come from your relationship with your Creator. And the day you truly understand, this is the day everything begins to change. My dear sister, trusting Allah with your pain does not mean pretending that you are not hurting. It does not mean acting strong when your heart feels broken. It does not mean suppressing your emotions. Islam never teaches us to deny our feelings. Even the prophets experienced sadness. Even the prophets experienced grief. Even the prophets cried. The difference is that they carried their pain to Allah before they carried it to anyone else. They understood something many of us forget. Pain becomes lighter when it is placed in the hands of the one who controls everything. Think about that for a moment. The one who created your heart knows exactly what it needs. The one who created your tears knows exactly why they are falling. The one who allowed the trial knows exactly when it will end. Nothing about your situation surprises Allah. Nothing about your struggle is hidden from Him. Nothing about your future is uncertain to Him. While you are worried about tomorrow, Allah already knows what tomorrow contains. While you are afraid of what might happen, Allah already controls what will happen. Subhanallah, how can a heart not find peace knowing this? My dear sister, one of the reasons people suffer so much is because they try to carry tomorrow's burdens with today's strength. They worry about outcomes they cannot control. They fear possibilities that have not happened. They imagine disasters that may never come, and little by little, anxiety begins to consume them. But trust in Allah changes the way you carry your struggles. Instead of saying, "What if everything goes wrong?" you begin saying, "Allah is in control." Instead of saying, "I do not know what will happen," you begin saying, "Allah knows." Instead of saying, "I cannot handle this," you begin saying, "Allah will help me through it." The problem may not disappear overnight, but your relationship with the problem changes. Your heart becomes calmer. Your faith becomes stronger. Your perspective becomes clearer. Because trust in Allah is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of peace during difficulty. My dear sister, many people think trust in Allah means sitting back and doing nothing. But true tawakkul is much deeper than that. It means doing your best while leaving the results to Allah. It means making dua while trusting His timing. It means taking action while believing that Allah's plan is better than your own. It means accepting that even when life does not unfold the way you want it, it is still unfolding according to Allah's wisdom. And Allah's wisdom is always greater than our understanding. Sometimes Allah delays something because it is not yet good for you. Sometimes Allah removes something because it is harming you. Sometimes Allah breaks your heart to save your soul. Sometimes Allah closes a door because there is a better door ahead. And sometimes Allah allows pain because pain is preparing you for blessings that comfort never could. The believer learns to trust this process, even when they do not understand it, even when it hurts, even when tears fill their eyes, because they know that Allah does not make mistakes. My dear sister, look back at your life. Think about the moments that once felt impossible. Think about the nights you cried yourself to sleep. Think about the situations you thought would destroy you. Think about the people you thought you could never live without. Yet, here you are. Allah brought you through all of it. The things that once felt like the end of your story became chapters that strengthened you. The pain that once made you weak became a source of wisdom. The heartbreak that once crushed you taught you lessons you could never have learned otherwise. Allah was taking care of you even when you could not see it. Allah was protecting you even when you felt abandoned. Allah was guiding you even when you felt lost. And the same Allah who carried you then is carrying you now. My dear sister, one of the most beautiful things about trusting Allah is that it frees you from the exhausting need to control everything. You stop trying to force people to stay. You stop trying to force doors to open. You stop trying to force outcomes. You stop trying to force life to follow your script. Instead, you begin trusting the author of your story. And there is incredible peace in that, because the pressure is no longer entirely on your shoulders. You are no longer trying to be your own savior. You are no longer trying to solve every problem by yourself. You are no longer carrying burdens that were never meant for you to carry alone. You begin placing those burdens where they belong, in the hands of Allah. My dear sister, there will be moments when your dua seems unanswered, moments when relief feels delayed, moments when you wonder why things are taking so long. During those moments, remember something important. Allah hears every dua, every single one. Sometimes He answers immediately. Sometimes He answers later. Sometimes He gives you something different. And sometimes He protects you from something you cannot yet see. But He never ignores the sincere call of His servant. Never. The delay is not proof that Allah has forgotten you. The delay may be proof that Allah is preparing something greater than what you requested. The delay may be proof that Allah is teaching you patience. The delay may be proof that Allah wants you to come closer to Him. The delay may be part of the blessing itself. Trust Him, even when you cannot trace His plan. Trust Him, even when your heart feels tired. Trust Him, even when the road ahead seems unclear. Because Allah sees what you cannot see. My dear sister, when you trust Allah with your pain, something remarkable happens. Your fear begins to shrink. Your hope begins to grow. Your heart begins to heal. The same situation that once filled you with anxiety begins to fill you with faith. The same trial that once made you question everything begins to strengthen your connection with Allah. The same pain that once felt meaningless begins to reveal purpose. That is the power of Tawakkul. That is the beauty of surrendering your worries to Allah. That is the peace that no human being can give you. And that is why the believer never loses hope. Because their trust is not in people. Their trust is not in circumstances. Their trust is not in worldly solutions. Their trust is in Allah, the one who never fails, the one who never abandons, the one who never breaks His promises. So my dear sister, if your heart is heavy today, give it to Allah. If your eyes are full of tears today, give them to Allah. If your mind is overwhelmed today, give it to Allah. Trust Him with the pain. Trust Him with the uncertainty. Trust Him with the future. And watch how everything begins to change. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because your heart discovers the peace that comes from knowing that Allah is enough. My dear sister, as we come to the end of this reminder, remember this beautiful truth. You do not need the whole world to understand your pain for your pain to matter. You do not need everyone's sympathy for your tears to be seen. And you do not need everyone's approval for your heart to heal. The people may not understand your struggle. The people may not see your sacrifices. The people may not know what you carry every day. But Allah knows. Allah sees every tear you hide. Allah hears every dua you whisper. Allah understands every pain you cannot put into words. So the next time your heart feels heavy, do not rush to people first. Turn to Allah, speak to Him, trust Him, and leave your worries with the one who never betrays a trust. My dear sister, protect your peace, protect your dignity, protect your relationship with Allah. Because the strongest hearts are not the ones that tell everyone their problems. The strongest hearts are the ones that trust Allah with them. May Allah replace every sadness with peace, every worry with relief, every tear with reward, and every hardship with a beautiful outcome. Ameen. Until next time, keep your heart connected to Allah, because when Allah is enough for you, nothing in this world can truly break you.